Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we are officially live. With that being said, I'm just getting some things going on the side. We got Bree backstage. I just want to let y'all know off the rip, we're going to do a forecast for 12 different zodiac signs. And I just officially went ahead and put live on Instagram for the first time. So that's cool. So we're live now on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. For everyone that's on the return, I want to say thank you. I want to say welcome for being here. Your support is really appreciated. We have a special guest backstage, Astro Bree. She's one of the top researchers in the astrology industry. That's my personal opinion. She does have moon maps that she brought out for 2024. So I want to go ahead and just let you know about that. It's something that she'll make mentions about very, very soon. That said, if you're here, I want you to drop down your zodiac sign in the chat because you're going to be getting a forecast. We're doing it for all 12 signs on the Purva Ashadha new moon, which is represented by Sagittarius. And it kind of leads us into a 9-year cycle, all right? That's going to be explained more by Bree when we lead more into the Pushya, which is Cancer full moon. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and bring her up top. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hitting the likes and the thumbs up. For anybody that's brand new, I want to say thank you and welcome to the channel.
Hello, beautiful. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Hello. How are you?
How you doing? I'm well. I am well. So what you got for us? What's going on?
Some people are talking about it. I don't think anyone really recognized this really big shift that's happening. And I know that's kind of it's a word that says people say that a lot, like, oh, there's a shift, there's a portal, there's this, there's that. But I take things down pretty much to the degree, and this new moon sits between two lunar houses. So the moon changes lunar houses every day. It changes moon sign. It changes a sign every 2.5 days. But in a 24-hour span, we move through a mansion with the moon, which is why they're called moon mansions, right? And this particular mansion, we're at the door of it. It's not in it at all when the sun gets there. It's right at the door. The sun and the moon are both here. And you and I were talking about the full moon initially. And when I started doing research on the full moon, I realized the new moon that preceded it, which is this one here, it's kind of starting something that hasn't really been picked up on in like close to a decade. It's just kind of crazy. When I looked back at a decade ago, and if you think it's kind of crazy to think about times before, COVID and the rest of the lockdowns and all of that, like our lifestyles were very, very different. But we're talking about energies of like on a political scale, on a social scale, like people were not okay. Like there was a very uncomfortable energy coming through where people were starting to realize like what we've been fed for generations, it was all starting to like there were holes starting to be poked through. Eventually we had like the Trump administration and the Me Too movement, and we had all of these things come through eventually. But in 2014, it was a very, very different place. So I did a little bit of research on it.
So how does that relate to the new moons that we're coming up on now in Purva Ashadha, which is represented by Sagittarius?
We haven't seen this in so long. So the energies with Pushya and Sharana that are happening around the 25th, that's like the first echo of this energy. But the initial shock is coming through. We're talking about faith. We're talking about knowledge, drive, and an accumulated power that's been happening for a decade is finally being activated. Like those who felt tested, heavily tested over the last decade, this is the time where you enter your first competition. You're no longer in the gym training. You may have been training for a very, very long time, but now you enter the ring and you actually get to face the real opponents, the ones that you've recognized as an opponent for the past 10 years, but you may have saw them as something way bigger than you could ever defeat. And now we're looking at them like, no, I'm actually ready. And I'm not sure how I ever let you put me in a position to feel like I couldn't take you down, but I definitely am ready now. So the last time we saw this new moon was 2009. Like this specific new moon is even longer than a decade ago. And that's a long time ago. Like I got little monkeys and I can tell you, like, I've got a couple of them that weren't even born yet. So, like all three of my babies, they were not even born yet at this time. This is the time frame when people were just blindly still going through whatever society told them was expected, especially the millennial generation. Like there was just, early 20s, we're talking about club scenes, we're talking about women just accepting a certain amount of scrutiny and sexism as the normal, as the baseline, okay? Even fashion trends that are coming back are now being revised to fix those misplaced orders that happened, especially to the feminines. And I don't mean just women, I mean men who are comfortable in their femininity. The levels that have changed over this time, it's finally time to actually stand up and just be it. It's not about arguing for it anymore. It's not about standing up and pointing out that it's needed. It's just about expressing it comfortably. There's been a lot of push for the last 10 years, but really it's like 15 years where there's been this like echoing push. Well, the nodes are moving this way and we're finally back in an energy where we're at endings. On a Vedic scale, this is Virgo and Pisces. On a tropical scale, which is still as important, we're talking about Aries and Libra. These are the beginnings and the endings. And our collective is simultaneously working both at the same time. Never before has an astrology collective been able to utilize the amount of information available, have multiple gurus and teachers all providing information at the same time, and letting the individual develop their own insight about what to do with that energy and how to make it. We're not living in the same time frame, but now is the time where we actively start moving different. So I wrote out horoscopes for all of them. Can you hear me okay? Oh, I can't hear you.
Did I freeze? Did you freeze?
I think I froze. I think you froze a little bit. It's cold here. It's snowing here. So maybe it's just the echo of my winter coming through to you in Mexico.
I know. It doesn't. Dang.
I am going to.
I think I got you back.
You got me back? What did you miss? How much did I go on before I recognized?
I'm ready to go into the forecast, but it was kind of chopping right around the same time.
Okay. So yeah, we've got an echoing effect of closing and openings at the same time for the collective. We are not learning anymore about who we want to be. We are actively being who we are now. The collective has shifted in a way that there's enough evidence to prove the things that were wrong in the past. There's the whole pointing it out. Yeah, it's still happening, but it doesn't make much of a difference anymore. Now it's about moving differently. Not just saying like, I won't be the way they used to be, but actually walking the walk, not just talking about it.
So I'm gonna drop these up as well. I'm gonna drop these up real quick. I took some base notes because you said there was these two the cusp of it happening on Purva and Uttara, right?
Yeah.
And I just kind of broke down some of the Sanskrit meaning to kind of really link back to what you were just saying. If I broke the words into two separate themes, Purva means first or initial, just broken down. And Ashadha being victory. And it's for both, right? So Purva Ashadha, then Uttara Ashadha comes next. And Uttara goes into that Capricorn. We were kind of speaking about that shift from Sag into Cap, right? So from the Sanskrit and linking right back to you, it's the victory that requires, at least how it translates, to the best of my understanding, the victory that requires enthusiasm to raise the community of feminine power. which is here to powerfully support. So it kind of goes right back to a little bit of what the flower was about, of like the return to feminine power. And this whole Purva Ashadha, the goddess is Apas, and it's a water goddess. And it's one of the reasons why it's this feminine power. It's all about the feminine power on this particular new moon. And if you notice, it's kind of not, it's not working, but I'll show you what was supposed to be on top, but I was having some blah, blah, blah technicals. You're going to see a river. And the reason being, a river is where animals, tribes, and people and cultures set up. When you set up a brand new organization, so Purva, this whole new moon, from now 9 years to now, is going to be starting, initiating a victory. But in order for that victory to happen, you have to get around the right people, and you have to be around enthusiastic influences. In a sense, be that enthusiasm, where that is the energy it takes to start. Because to start anything, okay, let's say Aries energy, is really hard. It's really hard to begin a project from scratch, to begin a network from scratch, to begin a YouTube channel from scratch. The beginning is the hardest part, where what it's saying a lot is you need enthusiasm. And through that, you're going to attract the right enthusiast in your particular space. Yeah. Right. And so I feel like for you and I, like, this is like with astrology in its merge, right? Between Western, between Vedic, between tropical, between
human design,
you know, electoral, horary, Uranian astrology. I feel like this is the start of this. From now, 9 years from now, we're tribing, we're communicating, and we're being enthusiastic, where we're going to link or we're not. The next part, in this part here, which is kind of where the new moon is on a merge of, is this Uttara. So the Purva, the first one, it only starts the battle, it only initiates the battle, the victory. But Uttara is where it becomes this lasting victory. And this is the longer term. This is when it steps more into the curve of Sagittarius moving into Capricorn. And so now this is actually telling us that we actually need to fight. And that goes right back to what Bree was saying a little earlier. You actually have to fight with this particular nakshatra and this constellation. But the key thing it says is not as separate identities. Right? And so it's like, as long as I see myself as an astrologer different from you as an astrologer, we lost already. It's not going to be a lasting victory. As long as I see myself separate from my wife or my sister or we already lost. With the marriage is going to lose. You're not going to have the victory. You're merging within. Uh-oh, she jumped out. You're merging in real estate, whatever it is. If I put more money in, so it's my property. But let's say the partner, whoever you're doing it with, is doing the art interior design, and they're doing the plants, and they're making it visually pleasing for people to buy in. It's me not seeing myself separate just because I put the money or because they put. It's all of that is not going to work. So this is a lot of what it's about, and it's kind of bringing us back to what's considered jiva. Not sorry, we're the jivas, we're the living bodies, but it's bringing us back to the prana, which is like the supreme body, where that separation and us fighting to get back to the fact that we're not separated is a lot of what is kind of coming full circle when you comes to the tribe communing by the river. So I want to kind of bring that in, have it hit the thumbs up and the like button, and give it back to Bree with the forecast.
So I did do one for each of the signs. I was actually really excited that you asked me to do this because I haven't done it in a while. This comes down to the nodes placements. This comes down to this new moon. This comes down to Jupiter's placement. There is a lot going on to activate us for a long haul. This is not a short horoscope. This is something you can take with you right through 2024 as this new moon takes us into this next decade. Obviously, there's going to be different horoscope and influence for every single moon that comes through on the new moons and the full moons, but they all have different messages and they all have different timelines that they work with. This one's a 10-year one. So we'll start with Aries. And these are going to be in tropical, so you can use your tropical astrology placement. You can use your moon, your rising, and your sun for an accumulated energy. I know a lot of horoscope readers and writers and astrologers say just read for your rising sign. I honestly believe accumulating all top three, and if you have a stellium, utilize that one as well, and let that be personalized for you. Because as an astrologer, when I work with the clients, I'm not just looking at what's happening, you know, in their 7th house. I'm looking at 7th from the moon. I'm looking at 7th from their stellium, because those are energy points that activate and make you you. No one is a sign. And if they are, they have a very specific kind of lifestyle, but it's very, very rare that you have anyone with just one activation sign. Use your sun, moon, and rising for this. 1,000%. So we'll start with Aries. This new moon's happening in the 10th house for Aries, obviously. And it is where the 9th meets the 10th. And because of Jupiter's influence, because of Mars's influence, and Mercury having we're literally on the edge of a shadow. We are on the last little bits of the shadow. The things that we learned November 23rd and 24th and 25th, when it went into shadow, will play a part in this, okay? There were little bits of droplets of information that happened that last week of November before Mercury started this retrograde that will be activated in this 10-year forecast. So for Aries, it's happening in the 10th house, developments with family inspired by financial goals. There is a big picture, little roots kind of situation where you're like, if I don't feed my roots, my tree's going to break off, right? Dynamic self-awareness, ushering in new, easy relationships with others. There's a confidence that's coming through this where you got your eye on the bullseye and you're ready to aim. And because you're absolutely sure where it's going, your arm is steady, finally, which makes everything else fall into a much more comfortable place.
Sure.
There is going to be a comfort given to closing out certain cycles. Letting go of certain things is going to come pretty easy now. And that goes along with the node being where it is, the North Node coming through tropical area. There is this like, it's gone, it's over, okay, making room for something else kind of energy for Aries happening right now. And that's the biggest thing. You're going to see huge career changes. There may be title changes. And for anyone who has composite knowledge for them in their partnership or them in their family, if you have a sun, moon, or rising or stellium in Aries, you can utilize that energy as well. Okay. Taurus. For Taurus, this is a 9th, 8th house energy. And because of Uranus, because of Jupiter and Uranus are hanging out, man. And since they hang out when they share a sign, and like, I don't know if you know any Taurus people, but they've been moving differently since 2018. They have really been utilizing that Uranus energy in a beautiful way. And we see it really.
We got one in the chat right now. I see her moving different. We got one in the chat right now. What up, J-Lo? I see them moving different.
They've been moving different. And it's funny because Taurus and Uranus energy, you wouldn't naturally put those together, right? So like, we're really seeing out of the box Taurus energy. I have a Taurus client who's absolutely phenomenal. She's always been a fitness expert. She's a gorgeous Venetian looking woman. She's now running businesses, making clothing wear. She sees an empty spot in her industry and she's immediately knowing how to fill it. That genius activity is coming through, and it's really working with Jupiter, being able to give the hope and the expansion and that movement that, you know, they're not particularly known for how quickly they move, but they've been moving different lately. So there is, so like I said, since 2018, there's been this like need to change things that are broken down, but now there's a new height of self-empowerment, like a strong sense of like, I got this. I don't need to ask permission from anybody. That's come through. It's the next 10 years. You will see Taurus make money in a different kind of way. Like, they've always been known to be good with money. They're literally inventing money now. They're literally creating money out of thin air. The manifestation is ridiculous, and it will continue to develop and create a practical plan. There's going to be like a practical plan. Am I getting an echo? Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's me. I'm on here. I'm leaving it alone.
We're doing innovation. You're all over the place.
I know. I don't know why I can't mute this, but okay. 2 seconds. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So there's like a big plan coming through about faith. Like, they get it that they are the ruler of their path, and because Uranus is already halfway through, Taurus people are now driving a lot of the collective as a forefront runner. They're no longer the slow bull. They're like, they're the cow on steroids. They've just like got all the momentum and they're really beefed up, and they're not here to just be with the herd anymore. They are literally comfortable being out in front, which is great because Taurus struggles with that a lot of the time. So they're going to have plans. They're going to be people to lean into. Gemini, this is a 7th, 8th house energy. The mirror showed you your shadow. Now you decide what parts to release and what parts to stare into. And that is huge for Gemini. This is a very personal experience for Gemini people. Being able to recognize one shadow. They're always comfortable having multiple narratives and sometimes uncomfortable, but they're used to having multiple narratives happening in their minds at all given time. But now they're able to see what ones don't stand in their best faith and maybe are rooted in fear or other type of trauma, and they're finally able to say, just because I can hear it doesn't mean I'm going to listen to it.
Sure.
Okay, so it's a big cathartic thing for Gemini. I'm seeing it a lot with my clients too. They're going so much deeper than a typical air sign energy, which is just fantastic for them.
Sure.
Now you're bringing a developed vision to the table with your partner. There may be, and while I was channeling Gemini's energy, for any Geminis out there, I had the song Bedroom Hymns come through by Florence and the Machine. It was a very spiritual experience. I highly recommend Gemini energy tap into that music. Serious conversations with partners are happening now to help unlock the power of vulnerability for Gemini. It's big. It's really, really big. Progress, Gemini. Yeah, right? Mini movies in your head. You can literally play out all of them at the same time. It's like being in a carousel. Okay, so for Cancer energies, Sun, Moon, Rising, or stellium, releasing outdated strategies to embark on new identity when it comes to family dynamics. This is really big for them, being that this is happening right across the street. This is in Capricorn energy. This is literally looking down the barrel at Cancer. There's a lot of reflection of why are they so protective over family? Does that family have my side? Do they have my back the way that I've been having their back? Like, is this serving me? There's a lot of that. And moving into alignment with people who are much more spiritually aligned with you rather than just blood aligned with you. There's a lot of that right now for Cancer. It's been a hard year for Cancer, and it will continue to be a heavy year. This year is one of the better years that I've seen astrologically, but Cancer is definitely going through it. And anytime there's a new moon or a full moon, it affects them the strongest because they're lunar ruled. But when it's in their 7th house and they've got the nodes in the 4th and the 10th, there's such a heaviness there that they can't ignore it. Okay. So again, these are tropical astrological signs. You can apply them through if you need to. And you can reach out to either Pernell or I to help you understand how to utilize both zodiacs at the same time.
Cancer, you got to step outside.
It's okay to back away. What is it's like the covenant of blood before water. It's actually like misinterpreted all the time, where it says blood is thicker than water, but it's actually misinterpreted to mean more about the people that you choose are actually a better alignment to you than the ones you're born to. It's misinterpreted constantly, and Cancer is really coming to that conclusion. Like, just because I was born to this group and I protected them with my life, it doesn't mean that they're protecting me. Maybe they're actually putting me out to slaughter, and I need to protect
That's why they exalt in Jupiter, the cultural guru. That's why.
Makes so much sense. Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Once they go abroad. So Leo.
Okay, so Leo had a hard summer. I seen
it too.
The Venus retrograde, like they've had a hard year. The luminaries definitely had a hard year. There's a loss of energy from having spotlight energy that needs medicine now. There's that I found that especially with this new moon, it's really recognizing that the regular bids for attention, they don't work anymore. They need to go more authentic. They need to go more inner child. They need to let themselves be more innocent and forget about looking cool and just trust that they are cool, that they are warm, and that people want to be around them. They don't have to pretend. They don't have to put on a show. They don't have to do the fake smile and the rest of it, because nobody wants that anymore. Everybody's trying to work with more authenticity, and that falls on Leo in the hardest way, because it's a new habit. It's a sixth house thing. It's a new routine, a new way of thinking, a new way of talking to self, a new way of living in the mundane life, right? Applying new creative solutions, routines are best now with goals in mind, with a whole decade ahead. Like, we're not doing things for tomorrow or next week. You need to go real big with this vision, Leo. Big picture thinking is like the only way to get through this, because if you're thinking what's going to work for tomorrow or next week, by the time you get there, you'll be so depleted of energy that you just won't have anything to go for. And we're in the winter time. What is it that you told me last year when we did our podcast? You illuminated something that I'd never recognized before, is that there is no fire in the winter time, right? Like, we get to Sagittarius and then we have no fire until March.
Yeah.
Right. So
I mean,
Leo suffers the most.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel it. I feel it myself, even as an Aries. Like, this is the season, like this is my shadow work season every single year. And the biggest difference is I started accepting that, instead of trying to be in the spotlight during this time. Like, I get one little glimpse right now when this Capricorn, right? Because Capricorn is still my 10th house, for example, and I still have an Aries stellium. But who I come out and how I come out is not really the flaming baby on fire, running with my head cut off, focused on exactly, I know where I'm going, so I could just stay hot without blinking. It's not that season. I gotta blink. I gotta blink and realize, all right, no. It's more no's. It's way more no's. Versus like springtime, it's like yes. Like the whole universe, say yes to the universe during that time, but it's a flow. But it's the flow happens because of this. If I slow down, if I chill, if I say no in this season as a fire sign.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I just didn't do it.
Leo and Aries really do have it the hardest. But this season, after this Venus retrograde happened last summer and fall, Leo's moving differently. And those that aren't are truly suffering, because they've been given an opportunity to see that they need to be absolutely authentic with their fire. They can't show up and just expect people to be happy there anymore. It's got to be deeper than that. You've got to actually provide some sort of creative resolution and inspiration, or people will pass you up. There are more people born in Leo season, in tropical Leo season, than any other season. So if you're a boring lion, they'll find another lion.
Facts. And I do believe that it's naturally in their heart to go back to authenticity, no matter how far they stray. I do find that when stray, like, I'm going to speak for the masses, not every single individual. I find that when they stray, oftentimes it's the curiosity of being alone, right? Because when you're being authentic, you're alone.
Yes.
And that's a sad truth, but it's a truth.
That's why Aquarius has such a reputation for inspiration and innovativity. Oh, there goes my... Thank you. Okay. It's the stutter.
It's okay. You're excited. That's it. There's nothing wrong.
But Aquarius has that, and Aquarius sits opposite. Aquarius takes the lion out of the pride, right?
Exactly. Boom.
Okay,
so what we got for Virgo?
Breaking in new shoes. I think Virgo is actually having the best year. I did write to you a little bit about this when I showed up. Now, Virgo has been going through it. There was some big issues in November when it came to father figures and authority figures with Virgo, and they really had to shake loose of things that were dangerously not serving them. And now I'm seeing a lot of Virgos breaking in new shoes. There's this inspired about open space, innovative new opportunities, new love, new hobbies, new joy, new takes, new, like, I mean, Jupiter and well, we have Black Moon Lilith in Virgo, so that's a lot of it there. But there's also Jupiter happening in an Earth sign, right? And then we have all this stuff happening in Capricorn. So really, it's like fifth house and ninth house is just opening up. They're able to envision the kind of dream life and dream way bigger than they have in the past. We're going to see some pretty amazing things over the next 10 years from Virgo energy, because they're grounded in who they are, and they're grounded in their faith. They're looking at love in a new way. They're looking at faith in a new way. They're looking at themselves in a new way. I'm pretty proud of Virgo right now. As a Pisces sitting across from Virgo, I see you. I see you.
So the key for the Virgos was just stepping away from the father figure influence in the ways that it dominated their
letting go of guilt is the biggest thing for them, but they're already kind of moving in that way, and now they're getting rewarded for it. This is reward time for them.
Facts.
Okay.
Welcome, Virgo. Yo, that's the second Virgo. I did a Virgo report on a whole different video. I think Mars and Capricorn.
Yeah.
And they were beasting. I was like, yeah, girl. Yeah, boy. So we got Libra coming in. What's going on for Libra?
So I'm a Libra moon. I was nervous to do this. I'm not going to lie. Because after Venus retrograde, there was a whole new set of values and understanding about self that came through for Venetian people. New foundation values are being balanced with the closest connection. So the way that you're implementing your new value system, you're seeing people reject it and accept it that you have trusted, and that's the thing, like Libra in many ways they have that Capricorn energy in them and Aries energy working with them. Everyone thinks relationship, but actually they're super independent. They will do so much by themselves so that they don't have to ask anybody else for help, because they don't want to seem needy. But the minute they get that rejection, it goes so deep for them. It is one of the hardest things to deal with. And I do see neighbors and coworkers giving kind of a pushback, and Libra just being like, no, screw you then. You can go. I actually don't need your approval. If you don't approve, that's fine, but I'm going to go. There's a lot of that now, and a lot of like, if you didn't appreciate my beauty, my reverence, my consideration, I'm good if you leave. Like it's a lot of this for Libra. Dedication to health is showing up. So those Libras that have been really focused on going to the gym, eating healthy, working on monitoring their body, doing somatic response, they're seeing the rewards of development now. That's starting to come through. They're getting that receipt from the effort they've put in. And new developments at home are being talked into existence. There's a lot of powerful things happening in speaking things into existence for Libra. Okay. Because of the South Node, they already had Venus working for them. And as Venus moves through where she's going through now and moves, there's just this visualization and realization and materialization cycle that's happening for Libra right now, where they're able to speak it, see it, and feel it. All very quickly, because quick succession of each other.
Scorpio time? Scorpio time?
Yeah, well, Scorpio sits, I mean, you're talking about the third house, right? So Scorpios looks at Capricorn, and they're comfortable with each other. We're talking water and earth. This is a nice familiar energy and supportive energy. Because Scorpio acts that way and talks that way and is blunt that way, because they have Sagittarius in the second. But this is the third house. This is how they deal with the outside world. This is how they see themselves. This is how they think. Okay, these are their values that they actually believe in, and they speak on, and they move on, and they act, and they walk, and they talk this way. And so that's why you see this correlation between Gothic energy and that kind of stigma of that Gothic energy with Scorpio, is because Capricorn's sitting in the third. we're breaking new ground on social order. That's really prevalent. Like being like, no, I'm the boss, or no, you're not my boss. There is you can go here, you can go there. There's a chess game happening with Scorpio, and they're very much in power here. New strategies about money is really big because that Uranus Jupiter energy is happening, and then Jupiter will eventually move into the 8th house from Scorpio. And as that happens, we're looking at like, I wouldn't be surprised if you end up seeing Scorpio starting to take over like a market thing. You know what I mean? Like getting into trading, getting into big bets, big investments, big risks. That's what's coming for Scorpio. And relationships are blossoming in the face of impending divine developments. These connections are very fated, and there's going to be an unseen, unheard of magic that happens in relationships for Scorpios, where they just have a new level of faith about their partner, where they go, okay, I'm all in. And they take that coating off. They take that mask off and they let themselves go all the way. Scorpios always feel deeply, but very rarely will the other partner feel like they're all the way in. They'll feel like they're holding back a little bit, or they're being a little mysterious. That's gone now. Scorpio's raw now. And it's going to be so rewarding because there's these serious conversations about kids and love and motivation and what brings them confidence. They're going to talk more about it. You're going to see a lot of Scorpios really opening up. They'll be heading a lot of serious conversations. Now, Sagittarius. I am a Sagittarius rising. My partner is a Sagittarius rising. I have 3 kids with strong Sagittarius placements. Family composites to Sagittarius rising. I was terrified to look at this. So Capricorn, this energy is sitting like right underneath. It's in that the second house. Have you ever heard the expression, it's second nature? Like that's second nature to you. It's just so easy for you. It comes from second house energy because your second house has your second natures. It has your talents. It has your natural abilities. It has the way that you speak. It has the tone of your voice. It has things you don't think about that you are. That's what the second house is. So that's kind of what's being revitalized here. And because of the aspects to the new moon, because of the nodes, knowing value and adding tax. That's what's happening. Yeah, that's what's happening for Sagittarius. Applying yourself now, being the principle that you claim you are. Walking your walk, counting your blessings, gratitude lessons because of loss, there's going to be lessons of gratitude. Right. Because of recognizing where you've let go of things, gratitude that you had it in the first place.
Sure.
Foundational work is now second nature. You see the results in the money signs. It is going to be very financially comfortable for Sagittarius rising going forward.
I had the same report for, I think, my Mars and Capricorn on Sagittarius. I was like, it's time to, I was like, money on the flow, pick it up. Money on the flow, pick it up, Sagittarius. I swear to God, yo, this is money season for you. If you think there's not money right now, I'm telling you, you need to open your eyes because it's all over for you. It's just dripping.
It is. It's coming in, and it's going to be really you're going to see it taking place in a lot of partnership. There's going to be a lot of like one-on-one connections. There's going to be a lot of let's work together. Let's make a thing. Let's make a podcast. Let's do this. Let's merge our stuff and see.
Yeah.
If a Sagittarius comes up to you and says, will you work with me? That's the person to say yes to because they have money bills all over them, but they will make the most money when they're working one-on-one with people. And that's because we're moving a Jupiter from the 6th house of self-employment up into the 7th house of partnerships.
Sure.
So that means that you can make money with Sagittarius.
Yeah.
And Capricorn. It's Capricorn's turn. Happy birthday, Capricorns.
Happy birthday, Caps.
Finally, free without fear is what I have here.
Same thing.
Releasing useless compromises. Expanding creativity unapologetically, communication consultations, ushering in innovation. There's going to be a lot of ideas bestowed upon Capricorn Normally they would keep those ideas to themselves and build them up over time and not tell anybody until they're halfway in. It's going to be different now. Capricorn is likely to bring stuff to the board in its primal stages, in the very beginning of the idea, because they want to work with others now. They want, if a Capricorn has tapped you on the shoulder lately and said, I want to work with you, it's because they already tested you and you weren't even in knowledge of it. And they've filtered you in. They've already put you through the rigorous process. You weren't even aware of it. There's a lot of that. I'm really actually proud of the way this is going. Now for Aquarius, this is very different. Aquarius and Pisces have this very different experience to this. Now, you and I have talked about this before. Anything past Sagittarius, these are very highly developed signs, very complex signs. But Aquarius and Pisces work side by side. If you think about it, Aquarius is the 12th house from Pisces. Aquarius is Pisces to Pisces. Okay, that's their mystery. And for Aquarius, it's second nature. It's a blind spot. Okay. For Aquarius going forward, this energy is closing out cycles so that they can step into their Pluto power. This really comes down to the Pluto and Aquarius energy for them, because Aquarius, anyone born in the last 70 years who has strong Aquarius placements has felt like they were an alien in this world. And now the aliens are coming and taking over. And I don't mean that just literally. I mean, like, it's time for Aquarius to step up and start giving their innovative, wild, out-of-the-box ideas and see them turn into the new standard. Yep. So it's very much, as we saw Leo really struggling with the fact that they're not top of the pride anymore. It's the exact opposite for Aquarius. We're seeing Aquarius awkwardly stand up and be like, okay, I'll rule, but I'm not going to sit in that damn chair. Let's make a round table. You know what I mean? Sure. Like it's an uncomfortable rise to power for Aquarius, and it comes with watching a lot of things that they probably already predicted crumble down and close out. Okay. There's a lot of family connections that they're going to be closing out. There's going to be a lot of work connections that are going to close out, and it's comfortably letting it go. I don't see Aquarius really struggling with that. Okay.
No, they won't.
They won't. But they're at the same time, it is a lot of change. There is a lot of closings and a lot of change. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw strong Aquarius placements end up moving foreign places.
Facts.
With this, like Facts. Being like, you know what, I actually want to live in Europe.
It's not. It's the way I see it. It's the only way. It's a part of the power step. Like, the way I see it, it's the foreign element is the only way they're going to do it, because, again, they're servants. They're natural born servants as a part of Saturn. But how they serve has to be the things that Cap wouldn't do, or took too long, or takes too long to do in its own ways, you know. And Aquarius can be fixed too. So I'm not going to go too crazy into that. But what you said, I'm telling you, like, it just hit 1,000%. They're gonna do it outside of their country. Yeah. They're going to. It's gonna happen. Even if they're not physically out, automatically with the internet, they're way outside their boundaries. Even if they're not physically out. But I do feel like if they're physically out, it's gonna tremendously help them to separate from the power struggles.
It may even be as little as moving from your hometown where you've been your whole life to the big city that's just an hour away. It's a whole different world, because you get to be part of the collective instead of already being known, and there's that fish out of water energy that's really working for you.
Yeah. Some kind
of for Aquarius.
1,000%.
Yeah, exactly. So Aquarius, I see big change.
Be at least 4 different cultural.
I see big change for. So Pisces.
All right. So we got Pisces coming in.
So Pisces, this is a tumble for Pisces. They probably already experienced some loss. I have one Pisces rising who lost her dog this week. I have another Pisces rising whose, mom passed. Like, I have quite a few clients that are Pisces placements that are going through some really big changes right now. And again, there's multiple reasons for this. Pluto moving into your 12th house is not an easy thing to experience. You are having power dynamics happening in a blind spot. It's sitting in your subconscious, forcing you to let go of things. That's really heavy, okay? But with Capricorn, that's your 11th house. So it's changing who you network with, how you assign yourself into groups and what you identify with. That's going to change how you deal with those losses. Because if you're surrounded by people and you are influenced by people and you're only connecting with people who are lightly involved in you, if you're only connecting with people who are not allowed to know the true deep you, then when you go through these losses, you find yourself very alone, very, very alone. However, if you have invested and if you continue to invest in those proper friendships that truly do align for you, the people who will stick it out thick and thin. And again, an 11th house Capricorn means that the people that you can align with will last the test of time, or they will be a karmic backlash. You get to decide. It's Saturn. They're either going to serve you or they're going to separate you. There's no other way about it, right? So it's really about recognizing who you don't have in your corner right now for Pisces. It's a hard one. Also, with Jupiter moving from Taurus into Gemini, there's a square in the 4th house to the ascendant. Gemini will sit in the 4th house, right? So that can be great. That might mean moving. That might mean expanding on your family. It might mean having a baby. It could mean a lot of things, but Jupiter is not necessarily a good thing. Jupiter can be a harsh thing for Pisces. It can be too much identification. We're talking about depression and isolation if you're not careful. It can be meditation and spiritual practices, or it can be isolation and drinking too much. It's up to Pisces what they want to do with that, okay? It is squaring. So when we have something squaring us from the 4th house to our identity, we get to decide what to do with those roots. Jupiter can be a really good thing. You might be installing new faith habits in your home. You may make a meditation room. You could start doing yoga at home. Or you could isolate and end up scrolling on TikTok for 24 hours a day. It's going to be a choice of what you want to do with this exuberant amount of energy in your root system. But ultimately, if you have the right friends and you're picking the right people, they'll pull you out of that hole. And they'll get you to socialize again.
Facts.
Yeah. So some hard choices for Pisces.
Like the simplicity I have for Pisces is like find God, study, like whatever your religion that shifts, whatever religious shifts, whatever cultural shifts happen, in your own private time, it's like get closer to it. The simplistic answer is find God or lose your mind. That's how I'm feeling. And if it's not find God and you already have a connection with God, it's like study deeper. Whatever that particular faith, it's like study, like get more involved in it. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Whether it's Christianity, Hinduism, it doesn't matter. But it's going to say very clearly, you're going to potentially lose your mind, or you're going to essentially, because even in Vedic right now, Pisces North Node. So it's like literally take your anxiety and give it to God. That's literally what it's saying with the Virgo South Node. Take your anxiety, whatever anxiety you have that's in the mind, and give it to God, period. Or something you find faith in. That could be, and I try to tell people, like for me, the first one was nature. Like the first thing I recognized God in was nature. That's the first one I respected. I won't say recognize, but respected. I was like, trees. I can respect trees as God. I can respect grass. I can respect flowers. Like I see God in this. And for me, that was the beginning. So that said,
I had that same experience. I had that same experience the first time I saw, I grew up in a very busy city. I grew up in Toronto. And the first time I got out east in Canada where there was no lights and I could see galaxies and constellation and like real sky, that's when I found God. I was like, oh, I'm just a little thing in a big pond. Like I'm not the only thing suffering here. It's huge. And that means there's so much more hope.
Sure. Astrology was like that next huge step after nature for me.
It came after. I had always been in astrology, but I didn't put them together until I could really see the sky.
Yeah, for me it came nature first. And it was nature, and then through that it was astrology. It bridged it for me.
I found it the other way. I found nature through astrology. I ended up learning about plants and coming down to earth after I had stuck my head in the sky.
Makes sense. Especially as a Pisces.
Place. We ended up in the same
as a
place.
Pisces, right? Like to find that and then come to Virgo. Like,
yeah.
Right? Find myself, I find God. Sweet. So we have like 10 minutes before this live cuts off. If there's any questions, now's a good time to ask Bree. If you're watching live, if you have any personal thoughts or questions about your particular zodiac sign, you got like 6 minutes to ask that question if you're here live with us. Otherwise, I want you to check down at the bottom. You're going to see her email, and you're also going to see her WhatsApp. Take the time to write that down. If you want to go ahead and get a reading from
I think we froze. I'm wondering if he knows. Hi, everybody. You can come. There he is. We froze a little bit.
I heard it. The whole thing surged outside. All of the power, the whole thing shut down and it came back on. I just heard it. It said dee dee. I was like, uh-oh. But go ahead. You can finish that.
I have moon maps right now, which are it's a pre-recorded video. You give me your birth information and I give you your year. I'm going to tell you how every new moon and every full moon is going to affect you, and any very exact dates that you may be having conjunctions to the major planets from Jupiter out to Pluto. So if you're having any kind of conjunction, if you happen to be an Aquarius Sun in the early degrees, we're going to talk about Pluto's entrance. If you happen to have a Gemini Sun, we'd talk about Jupiter's conjunction. Those major alignments, which will generationally get you through the next 10 years, will be involved in the moon mapping. It's about 45 minutes of recording, and then you get a read along and a little map as well that you'll be receiving in email. And I work with payment plans. It's a bigger package. So if you need an installment plan, that's fine. But it's $222 for the package. And like I said, it's 45 minutes, and there is a 5-question follow-up that I include with any big package like that. If you have any questions, then you need to go over it with me after you're receiving it. Then you have up to 2 weeks to do so.
Dope. Thank you for that. Thank you for the insight on what they can expect with these moon maps. Thank you for the forecast for people watching. I'm going to put these in the timestamps, so anybody watching on replay, you'll be able to see it. If you're still here, hit the thumbs up, hit the likes button. Give a little applause to Bree. All right, check her out. You see the email, you see the WhatsApp, you know how to reach her. Thank you, JLo, for being here. All your comments, really loved it. I enjoyed seeing you again. And that said, happy new moon, y'all. Enjoy this Purva Ashadha new moon. Remember, this is about the initial victory. Okay, so pull your resources. This is literally what it's saying. Pull your resources, bring them together. In order to actually have the first victory, you take time to commune by the river. You take time to commune by the river, where the animals meet, where the people meet, where the tribe meet. One person's a blacksmith, one person washes clothes. The next person goes to war, the next person secures blah, blah, blah. And eventually they all realize, okay, well, you have that skill, you have that skill, you have that skill. We're not separate, we're one. That's what this Aquarius Pluto is trying to bring us back to, and it will over the next 20 years. So this is the initial victory. Understand this new moon leading us 9 years later. Like I said, Pluto and Aquarius about 20 years, I'm guessing. I don't actually know that. About 20 years?
Give or take, yeah. It is going to dip back into Capricorn this year. one more time.
Right.
It is going
Right.
to dip, right? So like we're
Right.
getting a little echo
Yep.
of what's coming and what the difference is going to feel like.
So just keep in mind what she just said, right? Like 20 years, give or take, Pluto's in Aquarius. This new moon that starts today that we're talking about now, actually it starts on the 11th, I think, 2 more days from now, is 10 years. It's half of that. So I'm telling you, this is the initial thing required for this 20-year Pluto in Aquarius victory, which will include the whole Jupiter cycle for at least 5 of them, maybe 4. And then it also is going to include a whole Uranus cycle. So understand that Uranus is going to do another 7-year loop. It's going to include a Neptune cycle for 14 years. So it's like, this is like this awkward 7, 14, 10 is right in the middle, right? Like, it's really beginning a lot. This is like, it's hard to fathom. Well, how old are you right now? 36? Okay, well, you'll be 46 years old by the time what you manifest now actually manifest. You know what I'm saying? You're 21, you'll be 31 by the time this manifests. So do take heed to that. Understand that this is what the first victory is about, and it leads us. It's right on the cusp of this lasting, this ultimate victory, which says that you will have to go ahead and fight. All right? You're going to have all these diverse thoughts and dreams and manifestations, and at first they're going to seem like they're completely, incomplete and incompatible, and one's over here, one's over here, one's over here, and it's about not thinking that your focus has to be uniform and go only one thing, but find a way for all of them to branch. And this is kind of, again, what Aquarius can do with its neural patterns in his nervous system. It branches billions of neurons at once. And so step by step, take your little victories. Start finding ways, okay? You may think that it's completely separate, that you're a singer and you also like astrology. But maybe you end up finding the hymns and the tunes of certain planets that have and you become this angelic singer that actually transmit planetary information and downloads through your actual voice, knowing nothing about astrology, but knowing some sideline stuff that compares and contrasts and connects. So understand this is very complex in its own ways, but I think Bree did a good job, okay? Giving us this insight. We're at that 3-minute mark. I see a birthday. If your birthday falls on a new moon, what does it mean?
1/11/75. Hold on a second. Well, if it falls on the new moon, it means that this is happening for you all year long, and you're probably an initiator for every single person that you're activating. You're going to meet people and literally drop inspiration on them. Be like, it's kind of like you're walking around as a king or a queen and knighting people.
I'm a new moon baby.
You're empowering them. You're literally handing out badges of power and being like, this is your job, and that's your job, and that's your job. Yeah.
I totally get it. Because one thing that it does mean is you're going, oh, Erica, I didn't even see that. I thought it was him. It also means that you're gonna have you're gonna need to introspect a lot. Like you're gonna spend, the new moon is in a dark phase. The moon's not in the sky. So it means there's no moon.
Yeah, there's no moon.
Say it again.
No moon.
There's no moon
in the sky.
It's completely hidden. It's completely hidden. So it's like that also means that your sensitivities are oftentimes not so clear. Like if I'm a new moon baby myself. I didn't understand my sensitivities, right? Like I didn't understand my psychic abilities. They were always there, but they weren't clear at all. It takes a lot of time alone. So that, and when you're taking that space alone and quiet and isolation, like if you ever notice, like I go away for long periods and then I just show up. Right now, this video is one of them. I've been gone for like at least 5 months.
I know.
And then I just show up, and it kind of just happens like that. So with new moon babies, right? She's right on point with the whole, like, you initiate people, but you only could do that if you spend the time, initiating your own sensitivities to know who's the right person.
Yes.
Right? Who's the right person? When, where, why, how? Like you have to notice. We have to notice as individuals. So we're at the time. All right. Hope you understand my eclipse in Aries. Good. Congratulations. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you for your thumbs up and the likes button. Check Bree out. We'll see you all soon.
Thank you.
This was an absolute pleasure on this new moon special with Astro Bree. She did a phenomenal job. Do check her out. Love.
Bye now.